Hey, what's going on, everyone? Steven the Laggy Gamer here, and as you have probably seen from the previous video I posted a little ways back, I had dubbed March kind of Souls Month. Did kind of a layout of some videos I was gonna do in celebration of Bloodborne coming out this month. It's not really a Souls game, but it's kind of a Souls-esque type of game. Seems like it has very high similarities to the Soul series, but also very different at the same time. But again, like I said, in celebration of that game coming out, and seeing as the Souls franchise is pretty much my favorite franchise going right now in gaming, I was like, why not dedicate this month, spread it out a little bit, spread some love over it, and just share what I know and what I've enjoyed about the Souls series. And here recently, I never put a Dark Souls discussion video up, and I've never put a Demon Souls video up, mainly because I've never beaten Demon Souls. For being such a fan of the Souls series, I had never beaten the very first entry that welcomed us all to it. I got my start with Dark Souls, but about a week and a half ago now, maybe two, I actually did complete Demon Souls for the first time. So here we go. This is my discussion video on it. Again, sorry for no camera this time. The new camera that I had gotten from my wife for Valentine's Day, she actually took on a cruise with her. So unfortunately, I have no way to film myself again. But this audio, I like doing these just plain audio versions because it's more relaxed. You can just kind of sit back, listen to it, whether you're just riding down in your car, cruising around or something, or just in the background. No need to see my ugly mug or anything like that. Anyways, but yeah, let's just go ahead and get it started. Demon Souls, Ultimate, like I said, just beat it not too long ago. And it was the last game I've actually beaten in the series over the previous entries. So I've been used to this Dark Souls kind of system of how the game has played. Demon Souls kind of has its own flavor to it, and it was pretty unique, and it was a really good experience. And I could say right off the bat, if there's anyone who is wanting to get into the Souls series, I was thinking Dark Souls 2 might have been the best entry because you could warp to different bonfires and stuff. But after playing through this game, I think Demon Souls might actually be the way to go. And just getting into it, let's get started here, and I can kind of explain why I think that. But just to get things started in these discussion videos, like we always do, I guess we can try to tell you what the story is about. Um, what's so great with these Soul series is some people love it, some people might not like it, is ambiguity. How things are so ambiguous, how you don't the game never really tells you too much about what's going on. It gives you just enough to where you can kind of just try to start to form your own kind of theories and story about what's going on. Of course, there is a main plot, but then there's all these holes around it that people are just trying to fill in from things they're just seeing and picking up from around the world, and how they're talking to other NPC players, and the few lines of dialogue players have. What they are able to tell you can kind of help put together what's going on in this world. The beginning intro cutscene kind of does a good job of pretty much setting the mainstay of what the story is. But once you get in there, a lot of times when people are playing through this, I believe, or any Souls game for the first time, it's kind of tough to pick up on what the story actually is and what the lore is in the game. You're pretty much so focused from a gameplay standpoint of just trying to live and make it through the game that's something that kind of goes on the backwash, kind of while you're going through. I want to say on your first playthrough, and normally that's how it goes for me too. Even when I played Dark Souls for the first time, you're running around this beautiful, massive world, and you're meeting all these great, interesting characters, and but your main focus is trying to live and not die, because the game can be taxing at times, and it can, after you're dying repeated deaths, and you just want to keep moving forward. The last thing on your mind is the story and lore. You're just trying to beat this enemy that's in your way, blocking it. But Demon Souls, like the other Souls game, has a great, unique, interesting plot with great NPC characters that it's just so fun. Even after beating a game, going up and watching these videos on YouTube of where people have really been able to put a lot of time and effort into dissecting each and every NPC character and giving you a great backstory and description on these characters and just sharing their thoughts with you. And it just makes the game that much that much more wonderful. And Demon Souls is pretty much just the same way. So what is Demon Souls? It's pretty much a story about a corrupt king destroying his land and you going to save it. The King Allant, he pretty much he got addicted to channeling souls to make his land grow, and he became power hungry. And with that, he awoken the great demon known as the Old One, who just he lives underneath the Nexus. It's the main hub world in the game, which we'll get into. And upon awakening the Old One just pretty much sent out this dark fog that went over all the land, and demons rested in this fog. And these demons are pretty much taking the souls of all of mankind, and they're draining life of its souls. And so you have a bunch of soulless people out there wandering around going mad, and you as the hero of the game, and there are many others like you, are going out to venture to try to rid the land of this curse of what's going on. So that's pretty much the mainstay of the story. Sounds simple, right? Just going to go kill these demons to restore the land. Well, it's not simple, it's tough. You have to go and defeat all the archdemons, and then upon doing so, you can actually finally get to do battle with the Old One, and in the end, you're left with a decision, like many of the Souls games, or at least in Dark Souls, not really in Dark Souls 2. You're made a decision of what you want to do at the end. You can either save the land, or you could become the ruler of the land and let it still stay corrupt. It's one of those cool things that each of the Souls games kind of have a touch on it at the end, which it's pretty cool how they give you that decision throughout the game. But that's pretty much the plot of Demon Souls. But it might sound simple and easy, but it's just what makes it, like I said, is the fantastic lore that's behind each and every NPC character in the game. There's so many great characters that just make the story even more richer. Like when you first enter the Nexus, like I said, it's a hub world that in the beginning of the game you're thrown into a tutorial, which even if you kill, there's a little boss fight at the end of it. Even if you kill that boss, you will eventually die and you'll be sent to this place called the Nexus. It's like the hub world where you can kind of travel throughout the Boletaria, the region itself. And you start meeting some certain characters in there. You meet the Maiden in Black, who is the one who you're actually giving your souls to so you can level up. So many interesting things about her in the game. You're meeting other NPC characters in there. Thomas, the blacksmith, or the guy who holds all your items for storage. It's pretty cool because you're meeting these people in this game, and they each kind of have their own special story and plot line. So it'll do one. It takes away from this game if one does not kind of look up what these other NPC characters are. Because, like I said, it just makes the games that much more richer to know their story and background. Like, what is the Maiden Black? She's so mysterious. Her eyes are blind and cut off. Like why are they? Why are her eyes just not there? What is going on with her? And you should just go up and look up that stuff about her and see. Like, I won't tell you everything in here because it's pretty cool uncovering all this stuff for your own. Um, is she good? Is she bad? Well, she's taking all of our souls. Is she a soul hungry power person too? But yeah, you have to play this and look up these characters because they each have their own unique little story. And I know, just for example, like I said, Thomas, he's a guy who holds all your items, and he's like a storage and equipment guy. He has just if you talk to him, you find out that he had a wife and a daughter, but unfortunately, he kind of left them behind in the region there, in Boletaria region, and I think inside the palace. and he was kind of concerned about him, and he said if you ran into him in your journey, if you could let him know what's going on. And in the game, you actually do find like these two bodies hanging from chains in the palace, and it was either just below or just above one of the bodies where it was hanging. You find this pretty much like a hairpin, and you bring that back to Thomas, and it turns out it was his daughter, and there's his wife and kid. Why it was his wife and kid who were chosen to be hung and strung there? Maybe just so you could continue a story with Thomas, or I don't know. It's crazy little touches. Like it's not even a main storyline plot feature, but that little thing, and if you find it, just going back and talking to Thomas, you uncover and learn more about him and what's happening, and it's just pretty crazy and unique how they implement stuff like that into this game. But so yeah, the story and the lore and everything in Demon Souls and all the Souls game are just fantastic. So from a story standpoint, I just love it. I just love diving into it and looking up lore and just really indulging myself into all that stuff. So if you're looking for good stories and stuff covered in lore, you can't go wrong with Demon Souls or any of the Souls games, as a matter of fact. But let's go ahead and get into the meat of this, and that's the gameplay, because this is where a lot of people will it either turns you off or turns you on to the Soul series. Because like I said, they've been known for being tough, challenging games, and I'm so used to the game now, or to the combat system in the games, just from multiple playthroughs on both Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, that they do still provide a challenge for me. Like when investigating a new area, like Demon Souls was all new to me. So yeah, I did. When going through these levels, I took my time through them so I could uncover things and figure out enemy layouts and attack patterns. But once I started getting the hang of it, like others, I never really died too much. I did get my fair share of deaths, but too much I still died a lot. But especially on one fight, which I can share the story with later on in this. But the gameplay is it's simple yet really tough. It's pretty much this. It's a linear adventure game in a way, where it's just you're trying to clear these levels out, reaching from one bonfire to another. And on the way there, there are just enemies and traps just thrown about in your way that you just have to navigate and fight your way through. You can either do that with a sword and shield. You can do it with uh, big old two-handed weapons. You can do it with magic. However you decide to adventure through this land is up to you. Because you start off the game by creating your own hero, and from then on forward, you're just collecting souls and leveling up your hero of how you want to play. Like I said, if you want to be a magic user, you're probably leveling up magic. If you want to use big two-handed weapons, you're probably leveling up strength. Just however you want to play the game is it's pretty much up to you what type of style of character you like. So it is an RPG though, and with the soul system is so unique to all these games of killing enemies, collecting souls, continuing to push forward throughout the game, and hoping to reach that next bonfire, so to say, which I don't even know if they're called bonfires in this game. Because now I'm having a hard time thinking when you light one if it's actually even a bonfire. But I'm just going to call them bonfires because that's what I know them as from the Soul series. So you go to these bonfires just so you could hopefully get back to the Nexus so you can talk to the Maiden in Black and level up your souls. Because if not, you run the risk of possibly dying, losing all your souls, and therefore leaving you in grief and despair, wanting to not play the game anymore. Because those can be some painful moments at first when you're first getting into the Souls series, having a good chunk of souls on you, maybe 30, 40,000. You're on a roll, then all of a sudden maybe you don't even die by an enemy. Maybe you accidentally fall off of a cliff, doing something kind of daring, maybe trying to do a jump or a leap to another area you thought you could get to. So no biggie, just need to go back and get your souls, cause after you die, your souls will be left there. You can click on where you died and recover everything. Well, unfortunately, you die on the way to getting your souls, and it's all gone. So things like that can be very frustrating in the game to have to go through. But you never really, Demon Souls is pretty good where you never really reach a point in the game where you're stuck with so many souls that it's tough to recover from if you lose them. The areas you play through are kind of a perfect size to where by the end of them, if you're clearing an area and you get to a boss fight and you die in that boss fight, they do a good job of either making it, they cut off shortcuts to the routes to the boss so you can possibly get to your souls quicker without dying, or you never really had too many to begin with. Maybe enough to get a level or two in the later stages of the game, but nothing that you can't quickly recover from just doing a little bit of farming. And each of the Souls games kind of have a broken system to farming, so to say, souls, and this one is no different. Demon Souls. There's a way to cheese out a lot of bosses, and there's a way to farm souls rather quickly. So you never really get worried about souls in the game. But that is a unique system that the Soul series kind of has, and I really enjoy that risk reward system. I don't know if it did it in this one, but I know in Dark Souls 2, if you had more souls on you, it was supposed to increase kind of the drop rate of items. So I don't know if that holds true in Demon Souls or not. It probably didn't, but still a unique system nonetheless. So from a gameplay standpoint, that's pretty much what you're doing. You're just trying to navigate your way, hacking and slashing, or using magic to get to these bosses, level up with the souls. If you're finding that a level's too hard, maybe just do some grinding, go back, level up some souls, and just start the level over again and try from there. And it does, if you're a new player to the game, you're going to get crushed. You're going to get pounded at first, and you're just going to, you probably will get upset with the game, but just keep pushing through it. And I've said it before, and I'll mention it again when I do my Dark Souls discussion. When I played that game, I was in the beginning area, the first kind of area you get out into after you do the tutorial level is the Undead Burg. It's kind of leading to the first kind of boss of the game. I was in that game for hours, in that area for hours and hours and hours, and I just couldn't get past that. But you push through, you'll eventually start breaking through, and you start picking up on things and you learn how to play. So it's pretty cool. And I really enjoy the different ways you can play through the game. Like I said, magic, sword and shield, two-hander, just with bows if you want. And I played through my playthrough of Demon Souls kind of like a magic and sword hybrid. What I did was I leveled up my magic, and I had a sword that when I leveled up my magic, that's how the power of my sword would level up too. So it was really unique being able to use magic and then go up and slice things in the face and be just as strong as someone maybe with a strength build. And it was pretty cool. And I enjoy playing that way. A lot of times I like to be up close and personal in your face with the sword hacking away at you. But it is always nice to have that magic as a backup to where if you need to keep some distance, you can just kind of sit back, shoot some things with your magic, and be okay. And just from a gameplay standpoint, like I said, it's been a couple years now since Demon Souls is out. So if you're ever having trouble in an area or a boss, there's all sorts of help online you can go to figure out ways to beat bosses and get past certain places that could be of higher difficulty for you. And amazingly enough, there's a lot of ways to make the bosses in this game really easy to beat. And I was surprised at how easy most of the bosses in this game were. I really only had trouble with, I want to say, one boss, and that was King Allant. Other than that, all the other bosses were really easy to get past, either just because they were easy to kill from with just a bow, sitting back and shooting with a bow, and the bow actually does amazing amount of damage on some of them, or just their attack patterns and stuff were really easy to get around. Um, I want to say if there was a fight that was my favorite in the game, it was probably the Flame Lurker. Just because the Flame Lurker boss is just a one-on-one boss, but the boss is really quick. He's really agile. You have a big open area you can fight him in. But it was one of the more challenging one-on-one fights. As far as a cheese mode way to beat him, I think there kind of is a way working around a pillar, but I didn't even want to try or attempt to do anything like that. It was pretty much for me with fighting the Flame Lurker and up close and personal. I'm slashing away at him with my sword duel. And near the end of it, he kind of goes into rage mode where, I mean, you're really getting desperate to squeeze an attack to land on him. But on my first go at him, I beat him, and it was just a nice, challenging fight, and I really enjoyed it. Now, a challenging fight, on the other hand, that was ticking me off was the King Allant fight. Not only because he was kind of difficult on his own, barely hitting him and doing any damage, but the trek there was a pain in the butt trying to get to him and dying and having to do the trek over and over again. It just got frustrating. But that's where one of the other great things about this Souls game kind of kicks in, and that's its multiplayer system. And I love and hate the system at the same time, because part of me would just love so much to just play through this game with a friend, co-op the whole way without having to worry about summon signs and stuff. And yes, it could break or hurt the game in some ways, but take Dark Souls 2. You can pretty much play the whole game together if you want in Dark Souls 2, but you'd have to constantly lay down summon signs, then come back in, lay down another summon sign. I really wish there was a way to actually play through these games full on co op all together. But hey, I mean, if you can't, it's still cool with the system they have. And what do I mean by that? Well, pretty much if you are an undead warrior, uh, you can lay down a summon sign, and pretty much that's just you using one of the items in the game that lays down a summon sign anywhere in the world. And what a person can do if they're in human form is they can go to your summon sign and click on you and summon you into their world. And you can actually help them fight through the level or fight through a boss and help them defeat the area. Really cool, right? So if you're having any trouble in the game whatsoever, just look around for some blue little signs on the ground that people leave, and they can help you through your journey throughout Boletaria. The only problem is kind of right now is there aren't as many players playing it right now. It is easier to match up with a friend, but even if you are trying to find someone to play with, the summon signs are very few and in between because a lot of people are probably way higher level than you anyway because the game's been out for so long. They're just starting new game after new game after new game plus. So being a new player on there, you're not probably going to get too much help unless you have a friend playing with you, which ultimately I did. X Cornmuff and X Joe. A couple of us are kind of. I won't mention the other person that's kind of playing through this game, but we're kind of both playing through the game, and this kind of got Joe wanting to start up a character just in case we need help. Of course, he's a master at the game, he's beaten it a bunch of times, but if we needed help on an area, he was going to be there to actually come in and help us if we needed some help. And this was the one place where I needed some help was on King Allant. And even with help, I died. We died and failed multiple times. Mainly because of my stupidity. He had a good strategy to go through with the get-go, but me being hard-headed and wanting to melee and be up in the face of King Allant kind of would ruin the strategy. So basically, we died so much, I ran out of the item that would actually allow you to go back to human form. So we couldn't do it anymore until we thought of, hey, let's let Joe actually do the boss fight in the area, and he'll be in human form and I help him. Because if you assist a person, if you're undead and you get summoned to their world and you actually defeat the boss at the end of the world, you get to become human again. So on our second attempt with me being summoned into Joe's world, we actually beat the boss fairly easily using his strategy, which I won't say just because I don't want to spoil it. You can either figure out and learn on your own or look it up or whatever you want to do. And then immediately after that, I summoned him to my world again because I was human, and we immediately pretty much beat him pretty easily as well. So once using the right strategies, like I said, you figure out the right strategy in these boss fights, it does make them really easy. The challenge is just kind of figuring out that pattern and design of the boss fight and how to do it. And like I said, by now there's so much help out there to look up if you need help with the game. And no, if a boss has killed you 15 times and you're just getting ticked off, just go just try. I know people don't like to do that, but if just look up a little hint or something that might be able to help you. That way you can just continue to push through and enjoy the rest of the game. But other than that, like I said, the rest of the bosses were kind of a pushover. But I do enjoy that online system because it's pretty cool because you can't talk or communicate with each other. But me and Joe were just talking online through Skype while we were playing, and it's just fun just playing this game with somebody. Even in the other Dark Souls 2, it's just a lot of fun having a buddy to play through on it. That's why I wish there was a full-on co-op mode, but it's just cool exploring the world together, taking on bosses together, and that is a unique system that they do have in the game. It's pretty neat. So other than that, you can also have it's a kind of a multiplayer system too that people can actually invade you if you're online. If you're connected online and playing, sometimes you'll notice that your screen will pop up that you're being invaded, and this red phantom, which is another like player controlled character, is coming into your world and he's trying to kill you. So that's another unique thing. You're just trying to work through the game, make progress, and all of a sudden here comes another player invading you in your game. You turn around only to get stabbed right in the face and you die and once again lose your souls and you're undead again. So it's pretty cool just how the whole systems and stuff are set up. And from a gameplay standpoint, I guess that's pretty much it. You're exploring, like I said, these worlds, these areas, and you're trying to just find better armor, better gear that you can upgrade. You can upgrade your weapons with materials you can find. You can upgrade your armor with materials you find. This game is a little bit more farm heavy than the other Souls games and trying to locate these items. It takes a while to find everything you need to upgrade your weapon to the max and your armor, but it's there nonetheless, and it's fun. You can upgrade and buy new spells. You can turn in the souls of the demons you kill, the boss demons, for boss weapons or these boss kind of magic spells. The souls, you just turn them into some of the trainers there, so to say, and they can upgrade you with all these cool abilities. Anything else from a gameplay standpoint that I am missing? Uh, that's pretty much it. The one thing in this game, I guess I could just try to get into it now, is why I think this is a great starting point for people who want to get into the Soul series, is the Nexus. The Nexus as a hub world makes navigation really easy. It's kind of cool how they have the game set up. It's pretty much set up into 5 different zones, each zone kind of having its own, having 3 to 4 stages in it. So what I mean by that is, say one of the zones is like the Boletarian Palace area. So we'll just say that's the first area and the first stage of the game. It would be 1-1. And once you reach the end of that area or beat the boss of 1-1, there will be a bonfire there, which will pretty much be the start of zone 1-2. So you can always click on that bonfire though and go back to the Nexus, teleport back there. And when you're in the Nexus, you click on these kind of portraits that are inside the Nexus, and you can automatically port back to that 1-2 bonfire. You don't need to start back at 1-1 and work your way all the way through again. But what makes it so cool is the fact that even though it's kind of divided up like that, where you can fast travel to these 5 different zones, I like how each stage still makes one big, huge area, though. Like, you could run from zone 1-1 all the way to the very last area in that zone, all in one foul swoop if you wanted. You wouldn't have to even go back to the Nexus at all. It's all connected, making this one big, huge area. But it has these nice little checkpoints that can take you back to your home, so to say, it, just to be safe. So I really like how that is set up, and I think that's very welcoming to new users of the game. Unlike a Dark Souls where it's this big, huge Metroidvania type of style game where everything is connected, it's so big, but you pretty much have to run everywhere. You don't get to fast travel till way later in the game. And the fast travel does kind of make it very nice and welcoming to new users of the Souls series. So I think that is a great way to that's a big reason why I think new players should start with Demon Souls. Also, it's easier. It's the easiest Souls game to me to play. Like I said, a lot of the bosses aren't too bad. I am used to the combat system though now, but there's a lot of cheesy ways you can beat these bosses if you're having difficult times. You can look it up and be like, "Oh, I can beat them that easily?" Well, okay. There's just so many. There's not too many difficult boss fights to get through into the game. Most of the time, the trek to the boss fight will be the most difficult thing for you. But even that in this game isn't too bad. Um, Another thing is the healing kind of system. In this game, it's pretty much healing in the Souls games are based off of Estus Flask and stuff. You have a certain amount of Estus Flask that you can drink in Dark Souls, and that's all you have until you sit at another bonfire and recharge them. In Dark Souls 2, they implemented these life gems, which kind of broke the healing system. But in Demon Souls, you just have herbs. You have these herbs you can use to heal yourself. And when I played through the game, I had no shortage of herbs on me. I had tons of them. Health was never even an issue. So I think that would make things easier for new players too, just because you pretty much have unlimited healing throughout a level if need be. So that would make this game more welcoming. So I really encourage if you're a new player trying to get into the Souls series, just start off with Demon Souls. It's a great entry into the world of the Souls series. Other than that, man, the music is always great with this kind of gothic cathedral type of sound, but it really sets the mood for these areas and the boss fights. The music's really great in this game. I love the music to the Souls series. Uh, the graphics and visuals I just think are great. A lot of there's a lot of grays in this game just because you're in a palace, so you're a lot of grays and stuff around and in caves and everything. Um, there's always zones visually in each of the Souls games, like the Valley of Defilement in this one, that's kind of dark and muddy and just gritty. A zone I don't really like too much. I kind of hate it just from a navigation standpoint. But a lot of browns in that one too. But I still think it's a very good looking game. You know, this is kind of a dark world. So you're not looking for bright colors and stuff in it. It's going to be a dark setting with dark graphics and it's I really like it from a visual standpoint, from a audio standpoint, and a lore story standpoint. Just everything connects and molds so well in Demon Souls. It's amazing. So you know, I'm not sure what else I could say here. I think I've been rambling for over 30 minutes now, and I thought this was only going to be like a 20-minute little recording, but yeah, Demon Souls, it was a fantastic adventure to go on. Really cool. I was able to have someone like Joe there to help in a time of need with one of the boss fights. And yeah, I mean, again, it's just building my hype even more for Bloodborne later on in the month. And you know, I already did start up another playthrough of Dark Souls as well in preparation for the Dark Souls discussion video coming out next week because it's been a while since I have played through that game. So I did want to start up the PS3 version and yeah. So stay tuned. I'll be sharing my thoughts on that game next. I hope you guys enjoyed this Demon Souls one. I'm sorry if I missed anything. To any vets of the series who might be listening to this or the game. But that's just the main stuff that's jumped off to me. I know I'm probably missing a bunch of things, but when it comes down to it, it's all about the lore for me in these games and the gameplay. And hopefully, I kind of touched on that enough for you guys and gals. But yeah, without further ado, just check out Demon Souls again. New players should check that out and start there. And stick with it. Hopefully, you'll find something you enjoy in this series. So stay tuned as Souls month kind of continues here. The next video coming out will probably be the Dark Souls discussion. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for listening. Laggy Gamer, I'm lagging out.